So now I just really wanted to kind of dig into like your background, why you decided to do this. Can you kind of go back from the beginning and just
Sure.
kind of talk me through so you started as a nurse and now you own a couple locations of a meal prep healthy food company. So I'm interested in kind of hearing how that happened.
Yeah, so even before I was a nurse growing up, 14, 15, 16, I never looked the way I wanted to look. I was always, self-conscious like a lot of other people, and
Were you
wanted
like a small, skinny kid, or
no,
heavier
like
kid,
like a chubby kid.
Okay.
So I was always the chubby kid, or I wasn't looking back on it now. I really wasn't, but that was just my perception of myself.
Kind of all,
I can remember one night specifically saying, "Man, when I am old enough to do something about it, whatever it takes, I'm gonna do that." And for so many years, I tried and tried and tried, and the only thing that was lacking was nutrition. So a little bit about my work history. I've been a registered nurse since I was 19. I went and got my associate's degree, started college when I was 17, passed the nursing licensure exam, started working as a nurse in the ER, and then I really started to learn more about nutrition and health and, trying to truly be healthy from the inside out. And I've always worked out, always been into fitness. And there was one day I said, you know what, I'm gonna hire somebody that knows what they're doing more than myself with nutrition. And this was, I was about 20 years old, and said, I'm gonna hire somebody to help me with my nutrition.
And just really quick, you were 20 then, and you're 25 now?
25 now, yep. And so it was just amazing to me that within 4 to 5 weeks of really sticking to a nutrition plan and counting your macros and your calories and tracking and being consistent, that I was a totally different person, both physically and mentally. That alarm goes off at 4:45 and I'm ecstatic.
So not to
no,
go ahead. Before we move on, so how were you eating before? What would you describe your diet as being like? Was it typical American fast food that bad, or were you?
No, I think I was just not tracking what I was eating. So I might do really good all day, and then at night it's whatever everybody else is having. And then I might only do that 3 or 4 times a week. But when you're trying to get to a goal, that's not going to work most of the time. And really just not paying attention to the amount of calories that I'm eating, because at the end of the day, calories in, calories out. If you eat more calories than you burn, you're going to gain weight.
So were you were eating more than you thought you were eating? Basically?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's great if you only ate, X amount of calories during the day, if you blow it 3 out of 5 nights out of the week. And so really that just made me fall in love with the nutrition aspect. And so that's when I started meal prepping for myself.
Okay.
And then, I'm working in the hospital at that point, meal prepping for myself, and I was doing that religiously since that point.
And just to go back for a second, why nursing? Why'd you get into becoming a nurse?
Well, to be honest with you, there was a teacher at the school that taught that at my high school you could get your nursing assistant license while you were in high school.
Okay.
And I had no idea what I wanted to do. And she was like, hey, you should just take my class, it'll be fun. And part of that class was you had to go to one of the local nursing homes. And it was not a glorious task.
Sure.
But I genuinely enjoyed helping the people that were there.
I love talking to old people.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And there was a guy there named Bill, and I specifically remember him. He was pitiful, and I went up there on Christmas Day with my dad and took him presents because he was telling me how his daughter wasn't gonna be able to come see him, and I just love that. I love helping people, and then being a nurse is fun at times, especially ER and ICU.
I was gonna ask, what's 2 things? So about that, what as a nurse was the craziest thing you ever saw? And then what was your favorite thing about being a nurse? What was your favorite part of it?
So in the ER, we saw lots of crazy stuff, from gunshots to people being run over by cars, and I don't know how intense you want me to get with that, but just some of the traumas that we would see in the ER, just that people could come back from that. So somebody is unconscious and you don't think they're going to make it, and you take them up to ICU and they walk out of the hospital 2 months later. So it's just amazing. And so really just what the human body is capable of and what we're capable of doing to prolong someone's life is amazing. I would say my favorite thing about nursing is once I went to ICU, and you'd have a lot of experiences like this in the ICU where you're caring for somebody for months and months and months. I had a young gentleman that overdosed on opiates, and they had to crike him in the ER, which is basically last resort. And then he came up to me, and basically the anesthesiologist was like, he's not going to make it. There's no way. His oxygen saturations were in the teens in the OR for 30 minutes. So we thought he was going to be brain dead. We, sorry, I'm getting a little emotional actually.
Oh, dude, no worries.
But we shared that with his mom. And of course she was just devastated. But maybe 30 minutes later, he reached up and grabbed her hand. And, we all were just like, what? Because we thought he was going to die. And everything science would tell you he's not going to make it. But he literally reached up and grabbed her hand and looked at her. Oh yeah, and he, I'm friends with him on Facebook. Jeez. So that was one of those things that,
Shout out to that dude.
Yeah,
that's incredible, man.
Most of the time, that's not going to happen. But you do have, those, like, that's something, obviously, I'll never forget.
That has to be one of the most rewarding experiences.
Oh, yeah. And his family still kind of will comment on stuff every once in a while.
Yeah.
And just being able to, just like now, to go back to that moment and somewhat experience it again. So those are the things that I'll, take with me, throughout my life, and just helping people.
And that's, yeah, man. And that's kind of what I was getting at is like, it was, for me, like in life, it took a while. I grew a business that I sold, and like for a long time I chased money. But, at this chapter in my life, I've finally like sort of discovered that, no, all I really care about is helping people. Like,
sure.
That is the most rewarding possible thing ever. And I sensed that from you.
Yeah.
As soon as I started talking to you. I mean, here you are, you start off as a nurse, right? Like how much more nurturing and caring of a profession can there be?
Sure.
And then you love it so much, but you're willing to put it behind you because you discover the value of nutrition and how it can change people's lives. So, I just wanted to kind of convey that to folks. And because
sure.
When I was talking to you before we went on camera, I mean, it was very obvious to me, like, here's a dude who genuinely cares about people.
Yeah.
And you can sense that. You can sense that
sure.
in someone. Just how you just got a little emotional there, man. I mean, that's real, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's so important that business owners and entrepreneurs, what they're doing in the world and what they're putting out is in line with their own personal core values, because
Absolutely.
Otherwise you're not going to be effective, right? And
sure.
I can tell with what you built here and just the way you've talked to me that is truly who you are. So you're prepping your meals as a nurse, and I know you kind of already told me this story off camera, but like,
sure.
Where does it go from there?
So, I was always prepping for myself, and just the change that I saw in myself, not just physically, but mentally. And like I said, I don't know if you've ever been at a point in your life, and I hope that you are now, that when your alarm clock goes off, you want to get up. You're excited.
Yeah.
And I never felt that before. And so that was life-changing for me. And then, I was helping people on the side with, nutrition and macro counting, and just trying to help them get some weight off or just feel better, whatever their goal was. And the biggest thing that everyone that I would help would say was, I don't have time to cook my food. So, I started cooking food for people on the side. They would place their orders, and it started out kind of small. And then I made a post on Facebook, and a lot of people that know me watching this will remember. It was like, I literally just said, hey, the thing about the meals that I prepped were I enjoyed all of them. And so you can make healthy food taste good. It may take a little bit of effort, more fresh ingredients, more fresh vegetables, none of this processed stuff, but you can make healthy food taste very good.
Seasonings.
Yeah, the right seasonings.
Yeah.
And so I knew that all the people I'm trying to help, if they could have the same food that I have, not only would they stick to it, they would enjoy it.
Sure.
They wouldn't feel deprived, like, oh, I want that pizza. No, because you're enjoying every meal that you have. Mm-hmm. And so my goal was to bring that to people in a bigger audience. And I quickly realized, okay, I'm a nurse manager for the ICU, and I'm trying to make 500 meals on Saturday and Sunday, and a wife and kids. So
I was going to say, how'd your wife feel about that? Was she just cool with it? Or
well, she supported me, but we quickly both realized, like, okay, one or the other.
Yeah.
So I took about a year to just research the market and develop my business plan, and how am I going to be able to roll this out to people so that I can really help them and make it successful. And so about a year later, I signed the lease and got to work there in my hometown in Locust. And we've grown from there. We deliver our meal plans all over really the Charlotte area, Monroe, Matthews, Harrisburg, Concord. This is my first restaurant in Charlotte. And I just wanted to get into a bigger market where people can really see what we're all about. And I just love helping people. It's been such a success there, not for me, but for everyone that, orders our meals. And I just want everyone to see that you can enjoy your food and meet all of your goals at the same time.
100%, yeah. So this all kind of happened organically, right? Like, it was born out of you just sort of doing your thing, and then there was a need, like somebody said, I think you told me that it was a doctor who was like, hey, I want to follow a plan, but I don't have time to cook, so you started cooking for them. And then the word kind of got around.
Sure.
I think that, like, that's the best businesses start that way. A true need, like a true problem needs to be solved, right? Like, just like you said, like, people want to eat healthy, but they don't have the time, or they at least aren't willing to make the time.
That's right.
To prep the food.
That's right.
I work as a coach, with a lot of people, and I always say that I don't have time truly just means I'm not prioritizing it, right? But that said, I mean, so be it. Like, if they don't want to take time to cook food, there is an option for them.
That's right.
And I think that's, like I said, the best way for a business to be born. You never forced anything, right? It was just like, here I am doing this thing, and then now I'm helping this person, and oh my God, this could be something big.
Sure.
The next thing you know, here you are with your second location and rocking and rolling. So I think I love stories like that, dude. Like, I love when you hear about the mom who was like, I was doing this with my kid, and I realized there was an issue, and I needed this, and I made it for myself, and then the market needed it. Like, I love stuff like that. And
people do too. That's why Shark Tank is so successful.
Right, exactly.
People love, and that was a genuine, I had a career that I went to school for, was still in school to further my education, and it was a big deal, not an easy decision to walk away from that, because I loved what I was doing, but I felt like my reach and my ability to help people were just
so much more scalable,
and I'm in control of that.
Yeah. So how did that go? Once, I'm guessing you had to go to your wife and say, hey, sweetheart, I love you so much. Here's what I'm thinking. Like, how did all of that go in terms of, like, walking away from a cushy full-time job to say, all right, I'm going to do this entrepreneur thing?
Yeah, well, I think she knows me well enough that the day that I looked at her and said, I'm doing it, it was she knew it was over, and I'm the kind of person, if I say I'm going to do something, it's going to happen.
Yeah. I can tell.
Yeah, and I'm willing to put in the work. I'm willing to work long hours, dedicate myself to the craft to do that. And really, it was a lot of preparation. So I didn't just say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm doing it now. It was, okay, I know I'm going to do this, but how can I get everything in line so that my family's taken care of, and I can successfully run the business and help other people, which is the goal.
Right.
But really, it was, I had aligned myself to be in that position that it made sense. So it really was an easy transition, other than, when I left my job at the hospital, everybody was like, what?
Right.
Because I was so young. I was 23 and a nurse manager in the ICU, so everybody was kind of shocked.
Yeah.
Like, why would you give that up?
On the fast track to greatness, right?
But my vision was even bigger than that, and I think we're just kind of seeing the beginning here of what the potential is.
I agree, man, and I'm so grateful that we were able to link up, and I was able to come and check this out. I just live a few miles away, so like, I'll be a regular.
Yeah.
But I love that you. Because I talk to a lot of young entrepreneurs and stuff, and there's always that, do I just drop everything, quit my job, and jump in, sort of burn the boats, make it work? Or how does that look? Do I work my job while I'm planning? And It sounds like you were very smart. You planned things out. You did your research. You continued to generate an income while you were getting your ducks in a row, and then you executed.
That's right.
which I think is so important because I see a lot of people really mess that up. I mean, even when I was building my businesses in the restaurant industry, I kept a full-time job.
Sure.
And yeah, sure, burnout happened and everything, but like that security for my family was important,
absolutely
paramount to everything else, right? So as a father and a husband, and someone who puts in long hours grinding as an entrepreneur, like how's all that going? Like how do you balance family time with business time, and what sacrifices have to be made, and vice versa?
Sure. So there's definitely sacrifices that have to be made, and people that ask me that question, I typically respond with, when it's good, it's great.
Right.
And when it's hard, it's really hard.
Yeah.
But I just try to tell myself, like, this is what I signed up for.
Sure.
So if there's work that needs to be done, I signed up for it. So buckle down and get it done.
And it's about what you're creating for them too, right?
Sure. Yeah. And I speak to my kids a lot, and I'll say, I may not be able to come to every T-ball game, but I will be there when it's absolutely every time it's possible.
Right.
And I let them know. And if anybody asks them, "Where's your dad?" they might say, "Oh, he's working, but it's so when I get older, we can have tons of time together."
Sure.
And I look at it as I'm 25 now. We just started the process to franchise. I want to be different. If you know or familiar with, a lot of franchises, how I want to be different is that owner, operator, invested franchisee that, if we have 100 of these in 5 years, every one you go into, there's going to be someone that's as passionate about it as I am,
right.
Not just somebody trying to make a quick buck, somebody that really wants to help people.
Definitely.
So that's the long-term goal.
And you and I, before we went on camera, we talked about how we're both fans of Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
And that's something that he talks about in terms of balancing, because he has 2 or 3 kids, I think 2, balancing that with working 16, 18-hour days is like, look, when I'm with them, I'm maximizing that time.
Absolutely.
And it is the absolute best. I don't waste a second. He was like, there's plenty of people that work 9-to-5 jobs and then go home and they're watching, a fucking football game, ignoring their kid playing in the corner. He's like, what? That's no different, right?
Sure.
He's like, when I get there, I am 100% for them all the time, and they know it. And I think that's the way to play it, man. I think it truly, especially if you have a vision, right? Like, I'm creating this for them. By the time they're teenagers, it's going to be completely different.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And
and even in the next 5 years,
100%,
when we start to franchise, obviously it's going to be a lot of work and some travel in between there, but really getting those first, and those first 2 physical locations open.
Oh, yeah.
Those are some of the most strenuous hours that you'll put in.
Yeah.
So, but it's all going to be worth it. It already has been. So I'm just grateful to be where I'm at.
Yeah, man. I mean, and it's so cool to me because, like, I'm seeing in you all the things, that I went through opening my locations.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you have that internal conversation with yourself saying, I'm putting in this upfront investment, not just monetarily, but time-wise, because that's the most precious commodity,
oh, yeah.
right?
Time.
And it's like, I know I'm going to bust my home now, but it's going to be worth it then.
Sure.
And it is.
Yep.
I'm here to tell you it is.
Yeah.
But man, that's great. And then, you kind of hinted at it a little bit already. I mean, you got the 2 locations. You've already started to think about future plans for the business. And I guess how is it going with the new location? And then where do you see this thing in 5 years? What is the grand vision?
Sure.
With a little more detail.
Yeah. So it's going well. I think our biggest thing here is, just to let people know that we're here. I know that as soon as people try the food, they're going to love it. You're going to like it better than some of our other competitors.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And I know that if you come in once, you absolutely will be satisfied and you will be back. So we're just building our customer one at a time. I'm very hands-on. I'm here. If you come in this door, I'm going to be here. Especially in the
next... As long as you're watching this in 2019.
Yeah, 2019, yeah. 2020, I might be somewhere else.
Right.
But I'm very involved in my stores. I think that's why they've been so successful.
Yeah.
Because there's not much like saying, somebody bringing your food saying, hey, I'm the owner. What can I do for you? And I genuinely mean that. I have a servant's heart, and I expect that out of all my employees. Currently, we have already started the process to franchise. We're in the strategic planning and benchmarking, so we're looking at us versus all the other franchise opportunities. How do we align with that? What might attract someone to open a FitFresh instead of another one? And then the next big part is our operations manuals and our training manuals, which we have everything documented, but really just streamlining those so that when you open a franchise, all the headaches, we've already had them. We already know what you need to do. And here's it laid out for you exactly what you're going to do, how to be successful.
What do you think, to go back to that point about standing apart from the other competitors in the market, what do you think sets you guys apart?
I think when it comes to food, the number one thing that sets us apart is that we do everything in-house. So we cook our food in-house. It's fresh vegetables, it's fresh meats. We're not getting in prepackaged, already cooked stuff and then just portioning it out like a lot of our competitors. We're actually cooking that to order and then packaging it up for you. And from a global business standpoint, when you come in, you're going to get service that you're not going to get many other places. We're a quick service, so you're going to get your food within 5-10 minutes max, but we're going to round on you like it's table service. There is somewhere for you to put your plates and bowls when you leave, but 90% of the time we're going to get that for you. And I think that's the real difference in the industry is the servant's heart places that you go to, your Chick-fil-A's. There's a reason that they do more business than anyone in 6 days, not 7. It's their service, 100%.
I mean, I can see that. I know you probably have more you want to elaborate on, but just to touch on that,
sure.
I can see that here, man. Culture is so important. And just talking to Nate, and kind of just you already, I can tell that you're cultivating that. And when I would have my big team meetings, for my locations, I would always say the same thing. I can build the best, most beautiful restaurant in town, but if I don't fill it with the best people, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
And I think that your head's in the right place, and your food's amazing, right?
Yeah.
That's great. But if you don't have the best culture and a servant's heart, as you put it, under this roof for people, it's not going to be a great thing.
That's right.
You're executing on that, so I think that's amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, like I said, I'm coming back for sure.
Yeah.
You're going to get tired of me.
Very good. Oh no, that won't happen.
And then, was there anything else you wanted to add, or is?
I would just say anyone who's watching this who might be curious about us or what we offer. So we're not just a meal prep company.
Right.
So we have the restaurant, we have the meal plans, we also have catering. So you can dine in with us. We have 30-something seats here. I'm sure you'll see on the footage.
Yeah.
You can order online for takeout. So we have the restaurant. We also do the meal plans. You can order those online every week, Monday through Thursday at 1. You also can come in and you can see the grab and go here. You don't have to order in advance for those. Those are ready for you to go right now. And then we do a lot of catering. We're here near the corporate park in Charlotte. And we do a whole lot of catering out of our other locations also. And so any needs that you need, build your own bowl, buffets for your co-workers, wrap trays, flatbread trays. So it's not just meal prep, we're much more than that.
Yeah, and that's, I think, a really important, that last thing to touch on is yes, you have delicious, flavorful food from the person who maybe wants to eat healthy but have that great experience with flavor, but you also do have the option to build your own bowl for if you're the serious competitor who's used to you like your chicken and rice and broccoli or whatever, however it is plain. You have that option
Absolutely.
too for people. So
you can build your own bowl here in the restaurant: brown rice, jasmine rice, cauliflower rice, romaine, spinach. We've got every vegetable you can imagine. We've got salmon, cod, shrimp, chicken, tofu, pork, Philly steak. Impossible burger. So just tons of options for you.
That's a vegan burger option.
Yeah,
right?
vegan burger. It's actually got as much protein as beef per ounce, which is pretty cool. So,
still gonna stick to my
stick
cows.
to your beef. Yeah.
They've done me well so far.
That's right.
And then before we wrap up here, what advice you've taken your licks, at least initially. You've opened a location, a second one. What advice would you give to a young entrepreneur who's looking to maybe do something like this, or something in the fitness or food space, or just in general?
Sure.
What have you learned that you think maybe going into it you didn't expect, and that you think would be good advice to give to somebody?
I think the biggest advice, and for whatever reason I kind of realized this before, but everything seems glamorous about owning your own business, and you know this.
Dude, social media is such a lie as far as that goes. Everything shows the Lambo and the private jet. No, it's 20-hour days, not getting sleep, not taking care of yourself, putting everyone else first.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I think the biggest part is just know that it is going to be what you put in it. So if I had opened the first location and just like, I'm going to teach people and then, they'll run it and I'm going to sit at home, we'd never be where we are today. Yep. So if you're going to open a business,
be ready to bleed, man.
Yeah, be ready to put in the work, but it needs to be something that you're passionate about, because if you don't have that passion, you don't truly want to help people, or you don't truly have a need, it's not going to be successful. It's 2019. It's already been done for the most part, most things. Yep. And so you've got to set yourself apart and then take risks. So you look at me, I'm 25, 2 locations, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old. I grew up very fast, but I take calculated risks.
Yeah.
So there's a difference.
Very mature 25-year-old.
There's a difference in just saying, I'm going to open a restaurant, I'm quit my job as a nurse. I didn't do that. Right. So it was very much a calculated, how much money do I need if I lose everything, do I still have enough to support my family? Right. So I would say find something you want to do and don't talk about it. Study it, work at it. And when you're ready, then talk about it. But just know that be willing to work for it.
So when you say don't talk about it, you mean like don't tell everybody, hey, I'm doing this. Or whatever.
I would say
put in that legwork.
Yeah, I would say put in the legwork and make sure that it's something that you're moving forward with. And once you have your mind wrapped around it, then talk about it. Yeah. But it kind of rubs me the wrong way when you see somebody that every week they're starting something different. Yep.
I got a t-shirt company, and I got this, and I got that.
But just be willing to put in the work that it's going to take, because it's going to require work. And then when you're ready, it's going to blow up because you're already invested in it. But talk is cheap, work is work.
Yep. So, and man, talk about like a rare thing these days. Dude, there's so much talk.
Yeah.
And especially with how entrepreneurship and business ownership has been glamorized. You have folks who have this image of what they think it is, and it is totally different, man.
It's different.
Totally different.
And it may take some time to pay off.
It's like Gary Vee, again, it's aggressive patience. You have to attack every day with all you've got, but you have to be patient, knowing that it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years before anything pays off.
Yeah, and it might be, that I don't truly see all I see the fruits as far as, being able to help people. But I will say this again, if you're just seeking money, you're going to be very upset unless you just get lucky. Yeah. Because those first few years, you better enjoy what you're doing, because the money might not be there yet. Yeah. And in my case, it has been, but I already made good money, so it wasn't about the money. Yeah.
And get used to putting everyone else first.
Oh yeah.
Paying everyone else first. And you have a lot of people who are working full time who say, I want to be an entrepreneur so I can create my own schedule. Dude, you're going to work more than you've ever worked in your life.
Yeah, your schedule is what your schedule is.
You're not going to be sitting on a beach with your laptop. This is not what this is, right? No. You're going to be grinding, and you will come last in every situation as the business owner. You work for everyone else.
That's right.
Period.
Yep.
And if you have another vision of that, you have the incorrect vision, right? You live it, you get paid last, you take care of everyone else first, like that. You have to be someone who cares about creating value and providing for everyone around you, or you will fail. Yeah. And I can see that's what you're doing here, man. I've already told Greg, I want to do whatever we can to support this business.
Yeah, man.
So it's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
Before we completely cut, anything else you want to add or say? I know we're going to do some other segments, kind of looking at the back and everything. Yeah. But in closing, anything else?
No, I just appreciate you guys coming, and everybody in the Charlotte area. I'm Levi. Come see me. I'll be happy to
ask for Levi.
Yeah, ask for Levi. I'll be here. Don't you worry.
All right, man. It's a pleasure. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.